Did you ever have any great exit lines?
A good exit line is, I just want you to know it's not me, it's you.
That's perfect.
So let's bring in Hollywood divorce attorney David Glass for more on this. David,
People going through divorces are going through some of the hardest times of their lives, and a lot of what they're going through is emotional. And in any divorce, there's a huge sense of loss, and loss of relationship, of money, some friends.
Hi, I'm David Glass for the Hourglass Podcast. As we continue our journey in discovering how powerful humor can be in getting through a breakup or any other difficult life-changing event, we have with us today a guest I consider to be the queen of comedy, Rita Rudner. Rita's Las Vegas stage show grossed over $150 million, and the audience's appetite for her style of humor continues to this day. One of her older comedy specials, Rita Rudner Live from Las Vegas, was uploaded to YouTube last month and has already amassed over 200,000 views. She was named the Las Vegas Comedian of the Year for 9 consecutive years, and she remains the longest-running female comic in Vegas history. Rita has filled Carnegie Hall 3 separate times and starred in her own award-winning TV specials. She's written 6 best-selling books. The audio version of one, Naked Beneath My Clothes, was Grammy-nominated. And together with her husband, she's written several comedy plays and films, most notably Peter's Friends and A Weekend in the Country. She also helped write the Oscars script when Steve Martin hosted. She was on Late Night with David Letterman and The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson over 50 times. And she's even spoken on the subject of comedy at Cambridge University. Let's get right to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Rita Rudner. You've been involved in so many plays, books, films, TV specials. But I want to go all the way back. How did you get your start in comedy?
In comedy, I don't know how far back you went, but I was a dancer for a long time on Broadway.
Okay.
I started when I was on Broadway for 10 years, and I was in 6 Broadway shows. And in my last Broadway show, I was in Annie. I played Lily St. Regis. And I noticed there weren't too many female comedians, and there were lots of female dancers.
Right.
So I said, why not do something where in a space that's not crowded? It's like if you see a parking lot and there are all these cars, why are you going there when across the street there's nobody in that parking lot?
Right.
So I parked in the lot where there were spaces.
And then when you decided to go into comedy, did you just start showing up to open mic nights? How did you break in?
Yeah, I started trying to write jokes. And at that point in the 80s, it was it was just kind of blossoming because of cable television needing cheap entertainment and comedians standing in front of a brick wall with a microphone.
Right.
So it was kind of a marriage made in a place that didn't have any money. And I started going to like piano bars, trying to write jokes, going to the Lincoln Center Library, listening to comedy albums, going to the Museum of Broadcasting, going to movies, trying to figure out why anyone would laugh, what would be funny coming from me. And I did like a little comedy course because I enjoyed it. And but I was still dancing and still doing commercials and summer stock, but I didn't want to do Broadway anymore. I loved it when I did it. But it was just something that I'd been doing for 10 years because I started so young. I was kind of ready for a different career.
Right. Right. And then once you got, at what point did you drop the dancing and sort of push the acting to the side to really focus on comedy? Or did that ever happen?
Yes, it happened when I got married, and Martin, who hired me, and he was a comedy producer, and that's how we met. And he lived in Australia and in England, and I did lots of shows there. But it happened because he came to America, and we got married, and I was still going to ballet class every day at 1 o'clock.
Right.
And he said, "You're a comedian. Why are you doing this?" And I said, "Because it's a habit." And he said, "Well, just don't do it because I've moved for countries for you, and you disappear for 3 hours every afternoon." And at that point, we were writing screenplays together, and we were writing books together. And because he was a comedy writer too, and that's how we met. Before he was a comedy producer, he was a comedy performer, and so we're all comedy all the time. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to the gym and we're going to play tennis, and I'm not going to go to ballet class anymore. But I just, it was just a discipline that I grew up with from when I was 4. So I always just went to ballet class, and then I stopped, but I'm still kind of I play tennis at night, and I still love athletic activities, but I'm sure glad I'm not a dancer now at this age.
Yeah.
And also I did look at the longevity of a dancer compared to the longevity of a comedian. And I said, Gwen Verdon isn't going to be working, and George Burns is still telling jokes. So I said, let's do something that has a bit more longevity. And I said it was either comedy or Congress. And I decided on comedy. Luckily.
Right. And then speaking of longevity, how is there any secret that you've discovered for remaining so productive in comedy for so long?
I like it. If you like doing something, you keep doing it. I do find my points of reference are different now, and I have to appeal to an audience that's more my age, because but I have a new thing that's happening, which is because I just did a New Year's Eve show, because I talk about my challenges with technology. And I don't want to scan the QR code, and I want to see a parking meter, and I want to, and even the young people can relate because their parents are in the same situation.
Right.
So you kind of have to do either, like Joan Rivers remained very current because she talked about the culture and different people, and she focused on personalities. And I think the way I'm trying to remain a bit current, and just because I really like to do it, is to focus on my struggles with waking up in the morning and not having and pressing the wrong button on the remote control. And everything, I have to wake my daughter up and go, Molly, what did I do? Help me, please. And I think everybody can relate to that. So I just like to concentrate on things everyone can relate to.
Right. And speaking of Joan Rivers, at some point I watched a documentary about her, and I remember her flipping through her calendar book, and her being so upset that there were empty, Friday or Saturday nights on it.
Yeah.
You could see how visibly upset she was, even at that point in her career, even with all of her success.
I know.
Are you at all inclined the way she was, that if you're not working every 3 or 4 days a week, that it's some kind of failure?
No, I don't know. It was just her, but it's funny because we have the same agent. I mean, she had the same agent, and I still have the same agent. So every once in a while I call him up and I go, my pages are blinding me. They're looking at just to do Joan Rivers.
Right.
Because she used to call up and do that. I kind of like to do things I like to do. This month I am very, very busy. And tomorrow I'm on a plane tomorrow, and then I have 3 theater shows in Las Vegas, and but then February I'm not, and we have a house in Palm Desert, and my husband and I, we try to play golf, and it's fun. So I like to balance everything, and I don't need to work all the time. I'm lucky because we lived in Las Vegas. I worked there for a long time, and I didn't get.
You had one of the longest running shows on the Strip, 9 years in a row, the Vegas Comedian of the Year. What was it like living in Vegas and doing your show for such a long period of time?
Wonderful. It was such a good, it was Martin and I had an idea. Again, logic always dictates. And one of my friends, Linda Obst, who was a wonderful producer, said, ride the horse in the direction it's going.
Right.
And my horse always was going to Las Vegas. And every time I went to Las Vegas to do a gig, it was really fun and everyone liked it. Yeah. And Martin, being a producer, said, well, again, when we went there, there were all these people who were kind of Jerry Lewis, and it was a long time ago, and Dean Martin, and the audience was younger and the performers were older. And he said, well, I think they might be ready for a younger performer.
Right.
And because I'd been on HBO so many times, my TV presence was pretty heavy at that point. So I eventually got my own theater. And because, again, a lot of, I think performers get mixed up in the gambling thing, but it never interested me. Like I used to travel a lot with my friend Louis Anderson, who I really miss, who was a wonderful comedian.
Right.
He loved the whole gambling thing. And I think eventually that can catch up with you. We would be changing planes in an airport in Las Vegas, going to another gig. And he'd sit down at a slot machine and I'd say, Louis, the plane is leaving. He goes, I'm feeling lucky. I said, no, you're not lucky. Just come on. And he said, no, I'm going to get the next plane. I'll see you there. And he used so I don't think that's a recipe for your later years being where you can be picky about what you want to do. But I'm lucky because we kind of saved our money. And also in Vegas, I was able, because I couldn't have children, and we were able to adopt a child, and I was able to stay home and I'd make dinner and put her to bed, and then go do my show at 8 o'clock. And then I was home by 10 o'clock. And I could take her to school the next morning, and I could live a whole life and be a mother and being a wife and be a wife and be a career person and be me at the same time. And Vegas made that possible. Whereas most people come to Vegas to escape their normal life, I went there to achieve one.
Yeah. Wow. Totally different story. And I think some even rock musicians have finally figured that out.
Oh, yeah. I said,
why bump around?
Celine Dion copied me. She said, I now realize I can be a singer and be a wife and a mother and who I am. And I said, yes, Celine, say thank you. No.
Right. As opposed to bumping around and always on the bus, off the bus, on a plane, off a plane. If people will come to you, why bump around?
I said, I take a car to the show, and the audience takes a plane. The audience is jet lagged. I'm well rested. So, where's the problem? And because Martin was a producer, he knew how he was in charge of advertising and all of the extraneous things that happen in show business. He's in charge of everything that isn't me telling jokes.
Right. An amazing partner to have in your career.
Yeah, I had to search. He was in Australia. Yeah, I had to go to a different continent. I'd run out of men.
Right. Although you've mentioned his name 4 or 5 times already in this interview. And you've been married for how many years at this point? 36. Incredible for any marriage.
I know.
But as for someone in entertainment, what makes it work for the two of you? How do you stay together all these years and still work together? It seems to me that the being together and the working together are two totally different things.
That's how we met, though. If like one is an astronaut and one is an artist, you go, well, you can't say to the astronaut, come help me with this painting.
Right.
You say to the painter, come help me fly to the moon. So we kind of do the same things, and we enjoy the same types of comedy, and we read the same types of, at this point, we're the same person. I don't know. We like to do the same things. And also we have another focus, which is our daughter, who just graduated from college.
Oh, wow.
Last month in December. And she's a musician. So we really like traveling around with her and listening to her sing. And she's recorded some songs, and that's our next mutual interest besides comedy. We like messing with her life.
Yeah, and it sounds like you and Martin, you're playing tennis together. You're going places. You're hanging out.
We just got back yesterday. We were playing golf, and it was. I said we played all 18 holes, which is unusual because no matter how early we start, it's usually dark before we finish. But but it's really fun. I just like to do things that are fun at this point. But one of the things I've always done, and I'm sure you're the same, and people who are generally in a good mood, they're doing something they like to do.
Yeah.
I love dancing. I love Broadway. I love comedy. I love my husband and my daughter, and my dog, wherever she is. So I think as long as you're involved in something that you enjoy, you're going to be in a good mood.
Now, have you ever had to use humor to get through a particularly bad stretch?
Absolutely. That's what bad stretches are for.
Right.
And when I first started comedy, I was dating a series of men that were, well, I guess I didn't say inappropriate. I said they weren't even treatable. But so I think you have to use your experiences to enhance your craft all the time. That's what books are about, songs are about. And certainly when I was dating, one of the things that my most successful jokes, which got somebody to put it in a play, somebody put it in a book, and they go, why didn't you, because they didn't credit me, but I said, why didn't you sue? I said, I was flattered. That's why I was flattered. Somebody used my joke. where I said, if I never want to see a man, I never say, I don't want to see you anymore. I just say, I love you. I want to marry you. I want to have your children. Sometimes I leave skid marks. So that was one of my jokes that I had. And I had a series of jokes about men who have a pierced ear are more prepared for marriage because they've experienced pain and bought jewelry. I thought that was good.
Pretty good.
And then when I got married, I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I can't write about bad dates anymore. And provided me with a whole new wealth of material of male behavior
Right.
that I was able to dig down into and find a lot of humor. And I still am. Men, women, we're just never gonna figure out why we're so, well, we are gonna figure out why we're so attracted, but we're never gonna figure out why the other one. I always say Martin looks at my brain and says, what's it like in there?
Yeah.
And, it's just a bit of, it's like my closet. It's very jumbled, but I know where everything is.
Absolutely. How about, did you ever cover breakups or in your material? Was that ever the topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I knew one guy, I knew it wasn't going to work out. We were playing tennis and he couldn't say 30 love. He kept saying 30, I really like you, but I still have to see other. So you got to keep going where the comedy is. And men provided me with a lot of comedy. I'm very grateful to them.
What about, did you ever have any great exit lines aside from the "I love you, I want to marry you, I want to"?
Yeah, that was my big one. I think one of a good exit line is, I just want you to know, it's not me, it's you.
That's perfect.
That's a good one. But one boyfriend that I was on and off for so many years, I broke up with him on my birthday. And he said, we'd just been out to dinner, and he said, you can't break up with me on your birthday. And I said, yes, I can. It's my present to myself.
Right, right.
And that was that, because it was just sometimes when, I said we were so confused, go away, come here, I love you, I hate you. I mean, it just was going on and on forever. So sometimes you just have to say, that's the end of that. And it provides you with a focus for who you want to be with next. And my daughter, keeps saying, I don't want to have bad relationships to write a song. I said, well, I think it's going to help. Get into a bad relationship right away. No, I didn't say that, but it is what art, don't you think? Art, music, that's what it's about. The film, television,
and then even that learning. I have 2 adult daughters and 2 younger sons, but my daughters, I'm constantly telling them, now, this is one more person you can check off your list. This is someone I don't want to be with. This person was too into his hair. This person was too into his car. Whatever.
After you through dating someone, you should write what's wrong with them on their forehead.
Right.
So when they show up to the next person, they can read it before they get involved.
Yeah, but even not worrying about other people, worrying about yourself. If you write that list of what I don't like, what I'm not looking for in people, I think it helps you narrow down your list of what kind of person do I want to spend my time with.
Absolutely. And I always found, and I mean, I know that the dating apps are very popular now. I have jokes about that in my act because people can relate to that too. But if you can find somebody who's interested in the same things that you are, it's got a much better shot rather than somebody who's on a totally different tangent in their life. So before Martin and I got together, I always felt I shouldn't be with anybody in show business for some reason. And I was always dating doctors and lawyers and accountants and all these, Wall Street things. And it was fun. And then it wasn't, because we really didn't have any connective tissue.
Yeah.
And so I think 2 actors can be a bit difficult. I said, because if you're too attractive, something's going to happen. You always knew Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt weren't going to stay together.
Right.
Other people were too attracted to them.
Right.
So I think like somebody, but then Julia Roberts marrying a cameraman, that kind of worked because they're in sync. And they're not competitive, because the competition thing can be a killer.
Absolutely. That was something I learned early on in my marriage. Even just competition for who had the worst day. You come home from work, oh my God, I had the worst day. And then your spouse says, oh, I had the worst day. And you can get into a competition as to who had the worst day, which isn't who cares? The day's behind you. What are you
Yeah.
going to do now? But
Well, we usually complain about the same things. And we usually have the same worst day. But
okay.
also I enjoy, like tomorrow morning, I have to get up, I'm flying to Palm Beach. I'm doing a big gala there. And I also enjoy, you know, just reading on a book with turning off my phone and, you know, and somehow not connecting with what's going on. So I still like that experience once in a while, but I miss my family too much to do it all the time. The most I'm away is 3 days when I'm in Las Vegas later this month. And that's
Right.
really only 2 days because I leave and then it's 1 night, 2 nights, then I come back on the third. So anyway, so I just don't like to go away for too long a time. Somebody has to water the plants.
Right.
I
So,
remember I went on tour, I was in a show, Mac and Mabel, and I had this boyfriend and I said, could you water my plants while I'm gone? And and I said, this one takes this much and that. And he said, okay, I'll do it. And I came back and they were all good, except one of them had died. And I
right.
said, what happened here? And he said, you didn't tell me to water that one. I said, couldn't you have seen it was dying? Give things. It was, anyway. So I think that was an accountant. I'm not sure.
The accountant or an engineer, someone who has
An
a list of
engineer
things
says,
to do.
you didn't tell me to water that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what makes you laugh these days? What are you finding? Are there any particular other comedians or TV shows or films that really make you laugh?
You know, because I'm so steeped in comedy, I get away from it when I'm on my own time. So I love mysteries. I love British mysteries. Martin's British, so we watch a lot of BritBox, and I like things like that. I think like things that take me away from comedy more than
Sure.
comedy. But my favorite actresses are, I mean, Catherine O'Hara is always the best for me, the best comedy actress. And oh, she was just on TV last night and she always makes me laugh. I can't remember her name, but I see what's bad with names. But anyway, so I really enjoy female comedy performers,
Yeah.
but I don't listen to a lot of stand-up anymore.
Right. That makes sense.
Michelle, I can't remember. Okay, I'm gonna remember it later tonight. I'm gonna call you up.
Yeah, you'll call me up, you'll email
In the
me, and
middle of
I'll
the
dub it
night.
in. You'll say Michelle, and I'll put in the final
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
Okay, you do it. But I do enjoy like comedy performances, but I'm not, when I do stand up, I analyze it and I go, oh my gosh, that was a good joke. And it's
Right.
not really like at a level of enjoyment. Also, I love sports. And I think that takes me away. I'm very excited about the Australian Open coming up, the tennis.
That's great. Anything else you want to share with our audience, either as to success in career, success in relationships, success in life?
Yes, there one thing, because I was just doing another interview with my friend who has a radio show locally, and I do his radio show sometimes because it's fun. And they said, what do you think separated you from the oodles of people who want to do the same thing you do? And I think the quality that I would recommend is showing up, because I think there are people who are funnier than I am, prettier than I am, better dancer than I am, better actors, better everything. But I was very disciplined. And I think ballet gave me that discipline where I showed up, other people wanted to be on Broadway, but I showed up every morning at 10 a.m. for my first ballet class. And then I went to every audition. And if you went, well, I think I'm just going to sleep in today, I'm not going to go to that one.
Right.
Then that's not a recipe for success. So I think even in comedy, when people said it's too late, I'm going home, I stayed and I was the last one to do my act to nobody.
Right.
At one point I did it to a mirror and my reflection had gone home. There was just nobody there. So I just think that perseverance and showing, as much as not giving up, because you cannot give up, but you're home and go, I didn't give up. No, you still give up because you didn't show up.
Right.
That would be my advice. That's what I tell my daughter, because she's a singer-songwriter and she's playing restaurants everywhere and going to auditions. And I say everything is something to put in your experience pot. The more experience you have, the better you're going to be when you finally do get somebody who says, why don't you open for this band? And then you're going to have done that a million times. and you're going to be better prepared. So just my advice is show up.
Right. Okay. Amazing, solid advice. For our
And
audience
the
members, I'm
words,
gonna,
you can remember it. Show up. Yeah.
yeah, no, simple to say, simple to plan, hard to actually do,
Yeah,
for
but if
some people.
you really want to do it, just do it. And
Yeah.
don't say and that's my other thing. If you do it, it will be done. My daughter says, Mom, if you say that to me one more time, I said, yeah, but you didn't do your laundry. It's not done.
Right. Right.
Just do it.
Right.
But I think she loves me anyway.
Yeah. And 20-something-year-olds are really a totally different type of parenting than anything you've done previous to that.
No, I wish she's making her own mistakes. I just wish she'd listen to me because I've made those mistakes already and I
Right.
can learn from them, but it's not the same.
No.
But just if you want to look her up, her name is Molly Bergman, and she's on Spotify, and she's released singles, and she's really good. And we'll see what happens.
Great. And for our audience members, stay tuned. We're going to play a clip of Rita in action and also give you a list of her upcoming shows. And make sure you get your tickets early. She always sells out. But Rita, thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate you sharing your humor, but for me, more importantly, your wisdom, just your practical wisdom for sustaining and thriving and staying in it.
You know, it's I didn't go to college or anything. I just had to learn everything on the hard way. So just don't do it the hard way. Just try to do it better, easier. Just show up.
But you know what? Maybe doing it the hard way is the key to success.
I think I just contradicted myself. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I bow to you.
Great. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care.
Rita Rudner.
To be here. In fact, I'm just happy to have a job. This economy, I don't know what's going on with this economy. My investments are so terrible. I have to tell you, at this point, I have a 401 not okay. But it'll get better. That's what everyone says. It'll get better, and I know it will. We just have to stay alive for 800 years. Now, I'm no genius, but as far as I can figure out, it all began because the banks loaned our money that we made, to people who couldn't pay it back, correct? Yeah. Okay, here's my premise. It was our money. We made it. Shouldn't they have asked us first? Yeah. I think they should have called me up and said, hello, Rita, this is the bank. We're thinking of loaning your money to an idiot. Are you in? Well, there's always a silver lining. The bad news is the world is ending. The good news is everything's on sale. And who do you trust with your money? I went to an investment counselor. You know what? This guy had the nerve to ask me, wait till you hear this question. What's your risk tolerance? What money are you comfortable losing? I said, your money. I have too many credit cards. I lost one. I didn't even notice. I noticed when I got that bill. Oh, it was so much less.
Thanks so much for watching. Check back with us for another new episode or visit thehourglasspodcast.com, where you'll find dozens of archived interviews, all of which are meant to help you. Thanks.